I believe in Moses and I believe in the Torah. Would that make me a Jew? If I believe in Jesus and the Bible, that make me Christian. And I believe in Muhammad and the Quran, that make me Muslim.
And there are many other verses in the same vein. Muslims, Jews, and Christians are described as the people of the book. Those who are Jews and Christians, their reward is with the Lord. There is no compulsion in religion. Other verses warn Muslims not to follow the errant views of Christians and Jews, nor to take them as their friends. Tolerance and intolerance apparently in equal measure, and so it is with messages of peace and violence. Whoever killeth a human being, it shall be as if he hath killed all mankind. And whosoever saveth the life of one, it shall be as if he saved all mankind. But then, in the very next verse, the only reward of those who make war upon Allah and His Messenger and strive after corruption in the land will be that they will be killed or crucified, or have their hands and feet on alternate sides cut off. Such will be their degradation in the world and in the hereafter. Theirs will be an awful doom. Isfahan, Iran, on Al-Quds Day, Jerusalem Day. All across the Muslim world, crowds are marching in demonstrations like this, some spontaneous, some orchestrated, in protest against what they see as occupation of their sacred city. But Jerusalem is equally sacred to Jews and Christians. Devout Jews pray at the Western Wall, the last remnant of the Second Temple destroyed by the Romans in the year 70 AD. A date that marks the start of the long night of the Jewish diaspora. On the mount above, two mosques, Al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock, built 6 centuries later when the victorious Arabs wrested control of the city from Christian Byzantium. According to biblical tradition, the rock beneath the dome is where Abraham made ready to sacrifice his son Isaac, and according to the Quran, it was also from here that Muhammad ascended into heaven, following a night journey from Mecca to Jerusalem.
People must understand, Jerusalem is the third city for us after Mecca and Al-Medina. In the early days, the Prophet and his companions used to face Jerusalem when they prayed, until they received God's instruction through the Quran to face Mecca. God elevated our Prophet from Mecca to Jerusalem and then called him to the heavens. So it is the gate to heaven, and we can't abandon any part of it, no matter how weak we are, how strong they are.
And mutual respect break down. The hard men on all sides reach into their sacred texts for the messages they need to hear. Sheikh Tafesh of Hamas was elected to represent Bethlehem and claims that nearly 1/3 of his votes came from Christian Palestinians.
Right needs power to protect it, especially when your land and your people have been attacked. Flowers sometimes need thorns to protect them.
But suicide is specifically forbidden in the Quran.
That's true. God said, "Do not kill yourself and do not bring misery upon yourself." So we are forbidden from attempting suicide. If we had the same weapons as the enemy, we would not resort to this method, but we don't, so it is our only option.
There's the paradox in the Quran. On the one hand, the consistent message that life is sacred. In verse after verse, suicide is explicitly forbidden. Destroy not yourselves. And yet, the suicide bomber is also quoting from the Quran when he says that those who die fighting in God's cause achieve martyrdom and receive their reward in paradise. Is this fighting for God's cause? And this.
But when the violence spreads beyond the Palestinian struggle, 9/11, 7/7 in Britain with thousands of victims, including Muslims.
The same issue. What does America plant in the world? It is guilty of great injustices against ordinary people. It attacks them. And the same goes for Britain, which occupied many Arab and Muslim countries. In all that time, how many people did Britain murder and execute?
Here in Iran, as elsewhere in the Muslim world, the anger goes beyond Palestine, which is seen as one dark chapter in a long history of humiliation at the hands of the Christian West and its allies. These are people with a powerful narrative, which may be inaccurate and distorted, but is sustained by a real sense of injustice and vivid flashes of inherited memory. It is a lament for centuries of declining Muslim power and prestige, for which the Christian West is held responsible. It speaks of a time when imperial European powers carved up the Middle East between them, imposing Western law, Western values, even Western dress. It excuses today's record of economic failure and autocratic Muslim governments with stories of oil wealth stolen and of corrupt presidents and kings, from the Shah of Iran to Saddam Hussein, sustained by the West against the will of their own people, and, like Saddam, toppled when their usefulness had passed. And the closer they get to the present, the harsher and more painful their narrative becomes. Defeat after defeat at the hands of the West and its clients. Afghanistan and again Iraq are the latest chapters. Not seen as any kind of liberation, but as occupation and humiliation. No one makes more capital out of this narrative than the hardline clerics of fundamentalist Islam.
All the bloodshed these days is the blood of Muslims. Chechnya is Muslim blood. Kashmir is Muslim blood. Afghanistan is Muslim blood. Bosnia and Herzegovina is Muslim blood. Palestine is Muslim blood. Cyprus is Muslim blood. Ethiopia is Muslim blood, and Somalia is Muslim blood. We almost covered the map.
And as the anger rises and the tone hardens, the voices of those to whom the Quran speaks of peace and tolerance are drowned out by those who take the contradictory message.
And we have to declare that we are the children of the Emir of Believers, Imam Ali, and wherever we are, we will stand up against the enemies of Islam. We will never surrender to these crooked people. Never. Oh God, cut off the wicked hands of America and Israel. Make America, Israel, and Britain weak.